My 27 male, sister 24 female, married last Saturday. It was a nightmare. She and my mom spent nearly the entire year in the lead up to the event talking about it. This wouldn't have bothered me if it was excitement fueling all those conversations, but instead it was stress. I've never seen the appeal of a big wedding, but watching this play out has solidified my point of view. My husband and I got married in a small ceremony in front of only close family and friends, maybe 25 people there at the most. Hosted a slightly bigger reception with others we wanted to celebrate alongside, and called it a day. There was no anxiety about planning, no looming dread that this perfect day we had built up in our heads might not go 100% as planned. Just us celebrating our love with people we love. My sister's wedding was the antithesis of that. It was over the top. The guest list was already massive, and then she allowed children there on top of that. If you can imagine 200 plus people plus kids running around what is supposed to be a peaceful event and not get anxious, I envy you. I already knew the whole thing was going to go terribly, as much as I hate to say it. You can't welcome that level of mayhem while also having your itinerary planned down to the minute. There was nothing intimate or personal. It seemed she was inviting friends she hadn't spoken to in years to fill out more seats. The whole thing was ostentatious, and I have no idea who she was trying to impress. The rest of our siblings and I are all in similar financial situations. Just because you have the money to pay for something doesn't mean you should. My husband and I were ready to head home right after the ceremony, but we played nice and stuck around. At one point, over the course of the night, she ended up in tears, unsurprisingly. I got roped into trying to comfort her and asked my sister if all the planning, stress, and money dropped on this event was worth the outcome. My mom told me my attitude the entire day had been terrible. My husband and I's comments were distasteful, and the question I had asked was awful and rude. I haven't spoken to either her or my sister since. Am I the idiot? OP, was making your sister feel bad on her wedding day in order to get a dig in and make yourself feel superior worth it? Did it make up for not being the center of attention for a year? You are the idiot. Your attitude is nasty. I don't know who you're keeping company with, but almost every wedding I've attended had 200 plus guests, about half had children, and nothing turned to mayhem. Climb down off your high horse. Nobody thinks you're special just because you had a small wedding. I agree with your mother. I'm a small wedding person myself, but that doesn't mean I judge other weddings. There's no ideal wedding. It's different for everyone. You spent the entire day blowing smoke up your idiot butt by noticing everything that was off about your sister's wedding and patting yourself on the back about how much better yours was. Then when your sister was overwhelmed, you took the opportunity to rub salt in the wound. You weren't trying to comfort her. You were just trying to be an idiot. Your mom and sister have likely enjoyed not speaking to you. You sound atrocious. My husband and I were ready to head home after the ceremony, but played nice and stuck around. What? Played nice and stuck around at your own sister's wedding? That's the crap you say about a distant friend or colleague, not your family. Big or small, you should want to be there for her special day. OP's just jealous that they couldn't have a big wedding because not enough people wanted to go. Also, since he mentioned all the siblings have the same financial situation, I don't know what his problem is. He wanted a cheap wedding for himself and he got it. So there's no need whatsoever to criticize others that want a bigger, more expensive event. It's their freaking money. OP, you sound like you're enjoying ruining things for people and are very I told you so smug, which is insufferable. You are the idiot, and try therapy. My 39th birthday was last week. Months ago, I was talking with my mom about a part of our state that I would love to visit, and she mentioned that she had never been there. I told her we should go together sometime, and we started planning it. We ended up deciding on going there for my birthday. During the planning, we realized that my mom, my brother, and I had never been on a trip together, just the three of us, so we invited my brother too. My husband was fully supportive of us taking the trip and would be staying home with our toddler son and our dog. Before we left last week, my husband gave me the gifts he had bought for my birthday. He got me some comfy pajamas, a sun hat, and some good wine and cheese to bring with me on the trip. Normally, I would be okay with that gift, as we don't splurge on birthday gifts anymore. But he had been talking about getting me a smartwatch and new luggage for my trip ever since we started planning it. He knows I can be picky about gifts, as I've exchanged some of the gifts he's given me in the past for different colors or options. But this time I told him to pick out something for me, as I wanted those things for the trip. He offered instead to go shopping with me so that I could pick out exactly what I wanted, because if I take them on the trip and don't like them, it's not likely I could return or exchange them. I thought that was a good idea, but life got busy, and before I knew it, it was the week of our trip, and we hadn't had a chance to actually go shopping together. So the time came for us to leave, and part of me was expecting my husband to surprise me with a new watch or weekend bag, but he didn't. I admit I was pretty disappointed that he didn't take the initiative and just get me those things on his own. I tried not to let it bother me during the trip, but it was always in the back of my mind. After we got back, I told him how disappointed I was that he didn't get me the watch and bag like he said he would. He told me that he thought we had agreed to do it together, but I told him he knew how busy we were, and it wouldn't have been difficult for him to do it on his own. He got offended and told me that I spent thousands of dollars on a nice, relaxing trip with my family, while he stayed home and took care of everything, and I'm complaining about a watch and a bag? I told him that he knew how much I was looking forward to having those items for my trip, and I'm just disappointed that he didn't realize that and took the opportunity to do something special for me. He apologized for ruining my trip, but I know it wasn't sincere, and he's just telling me what he thought I wanted to hear. So I offered to go shopping with him sometime to pick them out, and he told me to do it myself. Now I feel like crap, and I know he's mad at me for being ungrateful for the things he did get me, and for allowing me the opportunity to have a trip like that with my family. You are the idiot, and you feel like crap for a reason. You admitted you're picky and returned many gifts your husband gives you. A smartwatch and luggage are more significant ticket items, so not wanting to pick those out without you is reasonable. You took a nice trip, and he spent the weekends alone caring for the kids. Yet you return his sweetness with idiotry? Why? Please figure out why, and apologize to your husband for acting out and being immature. You sound ungrateful, and your husband was right. On the other hand, you got a fantastic child-free trip while your husband watches your kid and dog by himself. You are a massive entitled idiot. I'm pretty sure your toddler has more cop on. OMG, yes, OP, you are the idiot. You should be happy you got anything. Some of us are happy if our birthdays are even acknowledged, let alone a gift. Grow up. Sometimes you don't get what you want. Don't throw your husband's gifts back in his face. You're disappointed about a material possession. He's disappointed that his wife doesn't appreciate him. It's time to rethink your priority on gifts in your life. I, 31 female, am part of a friend group that meets for dinner about twice a month. There are 6 to 8 of us that go together, depending on schedules, and we take turns picking restaurants we want to try. And for the most part, we seem to have similar taste. Last year, one of my friends, Jen, asked if we could include a friend, Kate, who had just moved to our city. Jen knew Kate from college, and since Kate was new in town, Jen thought this would be a nice way for her to develop social connections without too much hassle or pressure. Turns out Kate is really nice and funny, and is now good friends with all of us. However, Kate has a pretty serious seafood allergy, like not just shellfish or just fish, all seafood. She's not deathly allergic, more like breakout in hives type allergic. This hasn't been an issue since we live in the Midwest, and there are a few seafood specialty restaurants near us. We tried a few before Kate moved here, but none of them were worth risking Kate's allergy to return to. That was until a new sushi restaurant opened up about 4 months ago. My husband and I went, and it was amazing. We then went on a double date with another friend and her husband, and they loved it too. So when it was my turn to pick the next restaurant, I suggested we go to this sushi place. A few other women said they've wanted to try that place too. But then Jen spoke up, reminded us of Kate's food allergy, and asked if I could pick a different restaurant. Unfortunately, the sushi place doesn't sell much of anything that isn't seafood. Yes, they have some dumplings and edamame type stuff for appetizers, but that's pretty much it. Not exactly a full meal, but I did the nice friend thing and picked a different restaurant we could all eat at. The next week, though, I asked the other girls who wanted to try the sushi place if they wanted to go with me, and they accepted. It wasn't part of our normal scheduled dinners, just a few of us. But word got around that a smaller group of us had gone to the sushi place and didn't include everyone. Jen, Kate, and another friend were upset that the rest of us had gone somewhere without them. They felt that we were purposely excluding people. But to me, this isn't middle school. We are allowed to do things as friends outside of the full group. And since Kate has a food allergy, it makes sense that she doesn't attend a meal like this. We still have our normal scheduled dinners. This time, a smaller group went to a restaurant that another friend could not eat at. Like, if I wanted to exclude Kate, I could have just stood firm on eating at the sushi place to begin with. But I didn't. But Jen and Kate think I crossed the line by going behind their backs to eat with just a few of us, and that I'm trying to create division in our group. So now people are taking sides and pointing fingers, and it's a whole mess. Not the idiot. You picked a different place for her with the whole group. You just decided to go to that restaurant with the interested group of friends later. They can't expect you never to eat seafood just because one person in the group can't. Jen comes off more like Kate's mother than her friend. When multiple people expressed interest in the seafood restaurant, Jen should have backed off. Kate is a grown woman. She can decide for herself if she wants to go to the restaurant and eat a few seafood-free appetizers or sit this one restaurant out. No, I think it was nice of Jen to advocate for Kate in this little way. Kate's new to the city, and Jen invited her to join their dinner group as a way to make friends. Everyone likes Kate, and Jen reminded them of Kate's allergy, so Kate didn't have to feel as if she was creating an imposition on people she doesn't know very well. Seems like decent, socially aware behavior all around. She was introduced to this friend group last year, and it's ridiculous to be angry and cause so much drama because some of the group decided they wanted sushi and went to get it. Geez. OP, you nailed it when you said that this isn't middle school, and you're allowed to do things outside of the group. I was in labor for 26 hours and was in a lot of pain as I didn't take an epidural. My husband was constantly on the phone, either playing games or talking with his bros, being really loud, and when I asked him to please hang up, he'd hang up the phone and then, like 10 minutes later, call them back. He really wanted to talk to them because his friends went on a boys' trip without him because I asked him to stay back so he could be here when I went into labor. They were calling him to tell him how their trip was going. He apologizes to them, blaming it on me being a nag. I was really annoyed and told him if he wanted to talk to his friend, he could do that elsewhere so I could be in pain and peace. He was like, all right, fine, baby, I'll just call them back later. So I had about 20 minutes of peace until his mom FaceTimed him, where he proceeded to put me in the video call. His mom comments how she remembers when she was in labor with him, and she still did herself up. She even claimed she looked so good the doctor was flirting with her. I was holding back everything inside me not to say something, as I didn't want to disrespect my mother-in-law, but at the same time, she sometimes just makes the stupidest comments at the worst times, and at this moment, I could not stand talking to her. A nurse came in and could tell that I was upset and asked me if everything was all right, and I told her I just really wanted to be alone. She ended up kicking out my husband, and in turn, he missed the birth of our firstborn daughter because he left the hospital because he was angry that I got the nurse to kick him out of the room. He refused to come see his daughter afterward because he was angry at me for kicking him out. My mother-in-law, who did visit me in the hospital, wouldn't stop talking about how I'm such a bad wife for removing my husband from the room. When I got home, he kept bringing up how I ruined a bonding moment with his daughter and how he could never forgive me for that. Am I the idiot for kicking my husband out of the delivery room because he was making phone calls? Not the idiot. Does your husband have any redeeming qualities? He's acting like a self-obsessed tool. Not only was he a poor partner to you, but he was also a poor father, putting his pride above visiting ASAP to meet his firstborn child. I think he may be showing you his true colors here. I'm sorry they're so ugly. The nurse kicked him out of the room. He's the one that chose to leave the hospital altogether. He has regrets because he messed up. Now he's trying to blame you. I'm sure you have some regrets now too. Like, why are you with this jerk? What are you going to do now? I think it would be better to be alone than stuck with him. I'm being serious. He called you a nag For asking him to not go on a trip around your due date? That alone shows how little he respects you. You'll be better off as a single mom. It truly upsets me to read these stories. I wonder if you'll spend the rest of your life with such an idiot. My 25 female nephew passed away 1 year ago because of cancer. It was right on my birthday and there was no celebration. There was nothing because everyone was devastated. My sister Denise is still grieving. She's in therapy and making some progress, but it's been slow. My family and I try to be as supportive as possible. Birthdays in my family are very important. We throw huge parties. I believe and have been taught that birthdays are important and should be cherished. Yesterday was my birthday. Obviously, I feel bad about the anniversary of my nephew's death, but I'm also a little down about not being able to celebrate like I used to, and my girlfriend knew that. So in the morning, I went to Denise's house and stayed by her side until almost lunchtime, when my mother would stay with her. We didn't want to leave her alone, but no one could stay all day. I went to work, and at night, my girlfriend made a surprise at home with a candlelit dinner and a small cake. Something very intimate for both of us, since my family was in a bad way. I didn't post on social media, but my girlfriend posted a picture of us holding hands and the dinner she made with "Happy Birthday, Love." My mom and Denise follow her on Instagram. I woke up the next day to hundreds of texts from my mom and Denise asking if I was celebrating even though it was such a sad day, and how heartless I was to celebrate knowing my sister was in such a bad way. Even though I said it was a surprise, they called me cold, heartless, and insensitive to the pain of others, saying I should have refused to celebrate. I was just glad I celebrated because it's something important to me, and I didn't even realize it when my girlfriend posted this photo on Instagram. By the way, in case you're wondering, none of them remembered it was my birthday. Am I the idiot? I thought you had thrown a big, raucous birthday party. Nope, you had dinner with your girlfriend. In no way were you or your partner insensitive to your sister. If anything, I would consider a quiet, intimate dinner instead of a large party a very respectful way to acknowledge your birthday without being excessive. So, not the idiot. It was literally the smallest private moment with a photo. You spent a decent portion of the day grieving with your sister, worked, and had a small private moment at home with your partner. Your partner was also very respectful of the gravity of the day, but made sure you were still acknowledged. I can't imagine how you could have been more respectful and low-key. It was you and your SO. Does Denise expect you never to celebrate your birthday again? That's exactly what Denise expects. Don't get me wrong, I also feel for Denise, but I wouldn't personally blame you if you'd had a giant bash, though I can see how others would think it was in bad taste. That they flipped out over a small cake and dinner with your SO is just unreasonable. If I was OP's sister, I would of course not be celebrating her birthday for at least a year or two, but I certainly wouldn't blow up on her for having a little celebration with her missus. Your mom is the closest to an idiot. She lost her grandson, but it's also her daughter's birthday. She can't let you be forgotten every year, especially when it's a huge family tradition for everyone else.